Cool. All right, let's go.
Welcome to the Conditional Release Program podcast that delves into the netherworld of cults, crims, and con artists. We don't like these people in its shows. We believe the best way to expose them is to hold them up to a harsh light, point our index fingers in their general direction, and mock them mercilessly, take them down a peg or two until they cease to exist in any other form than the shit on our shoes. I'm Jack the Insider, otherwise known as Peter Hoyster for tax purposes.
I'm Joel Hill, and today we're looking at mole children. What are mole children, you ask? They are the entirely fictitious creations of a cult of sexually violent lunatics that fantasize about horrific and often complex child abuse scenarios to give themselves some weird, bizarre, confected internet
little
hero
kiddies
complex.
being trafficked around the world in tunnels 10 miles below the surface of the earth with the near boiling temperatures and pressures that would crush lesser mole children's heads like a just neck can of Victor Bravo. I had a couple of them yesterday, Joel. They're still delicious, I've got to tell you. Anyway, it's hugely troubling. VBs,
what, children or VBs?
Had a couple of green demons yesterday, and it's still a fine beer. I won't have it knocked. Anyway, it's hugely troubling, the mole children, that is. And if Joe Biden was really Donald Trump in Joe Biden's skin, he would have done something about it by now, which is one of QAnon's many circular arguments. And we'll get in that, and sink down to the depths of the lithosphere in our singlets and shorts and have a good poke around in our deeper dive. But now it's time for the Conditional Release Program's weekly comings and goings, sometimes abbreviated as news. The news that's dominated politics in Australia in the last week is the allegations surrounding the now self-identified Christian Porter, the country's chief law officer and senior member of the Morrison cabinet. On Wednesday, Porter cheerfully denied the allegations, claimed no specifics had been put to him, and on cue, Prime Minister Scott Morrison claimed he hadn't seen them either. This despite Morrison receiving the detailed allegations of the deceased's complaint, alleging Porter had raped her when he was 17 and she was 16 in Sydney in 1988. Now, our PM's not a reader. We've learned this. He wants someone apparently to read him stuff and to read stuff on his behalf, and then sort of give him the gist, the nice sanitised gist. The rape allegations have unleashed a torrent of fury and disgust from women across the country who have themselves been subjected to the appalling behaviour of men over their own journeys. And the government won't establish a judicial inquiry of any type, and the coroner's court is a poor mechanism for establishing any truth around these allegations. And in any event, we don't even have a hearing date for a coronial inquest. So the situation becomes circular and there is no release. The pressure builds up on the government and it becomes pretty much stuck in political paralysis. And something has to give, and that something is an inquiry of a kind. But my concern is that an inquiry will in fact deliver an open finding, given the circumstances, and this will be portrayed rather as a vindication for the Attorney General. Those who demand an inquiry perhaps don't appreciate that the ground rules for any such inquiry would be created by the government, and therein lies the problem. Anyway, we're not doing that as it stands. Morrison is sticking firm to the rule of law will be broken irrevocably forever if we hold an inquiry position. So politically, the government's predicament can only get worse, which means this terrible situation will go around and go around and around and around until he is forced to make a decision. And what this is giving us is a lot better look at the Morrison government and how it operates. It doesn't like sunlight all that much, and it's had quite a lot of applied to it recently. And more we are coming to understand there is a leadership vacuum in this nation. And Joel, speaking of a leadership vacuum, I hear you tuned into the Trumpster at CPAC last week.
Yes, the Trumpster has made his triumphant return back to the pulpit to give a rambling, rousing, and fucking long speech. It just went forever. Get on with it. I know you're great, and you did stuff. Well, maybe you didn't. Maybe you're just making it up. I'm not sure. It sounds like bullshit. I just don't know anymore. So one of the things that was good about this is that it perfectly timed up with one of my rare dalliances with labouring work. So I was actually knocking render off the wall with a hammer at the time, which gave me a really simple outlet to channel my frustrations for the just absolute fucking dither coming out of this grumbling asshole's fucking flap. So essentially, it looks like we may not have picked the right horse when it said that our prediction that Trump's time as a political operative were over.
Look,
We said that with a bit of confidence.
With caveats, yeah,
Sticking
absolutely.
to your guns?
With caveats, yeah.
Yeah, okay. See, the way I'm seeing it, and this is basically what he laid out in his speech, is that Trump has a new grift. And this grift is that he's going to be an endorsement machine. He's going to take donations from Republicans and he's going to endorse candidates as a result. It's a quid pro quo. And basically, this guy has creditors knocking at the door with big knocking hands. I would not want to be in his situation right now. But this is good money. I mean, people love giving him cash on the Republican Party. And let's face it, like some Senate races are worth millions of dollars. And if his endorsement is the magical fucking ticket that he says it is, he could get a pretty penny for it.
Not going to be enough.
Of course, he's blown all this smoke up his own ass about how every candidate he endorses wins the race. Yeah, it may not be enough. And this is just, it's just an advertisement. This is his new job. And the thing is that like essentially what happens with US elections, as you may have noticed over the last forever, is that the midterms start basically once the last
primaries
vote cast at the general.
Yeah,
it's like
primaries are starting soon.
It's fucking ridiculous. Have a timeout. So it's basically like it's a shopping center. You know, the Christmas decorations go up the moment like the Easter's over, or like even mid hot cross bun, you start getting some fucking Mariah Carey on the radio. Honestly, just give us a break. But this is all an aside to my favorite part of the CPAC speech, where Trump talked about his achievements during the COVID crisis. Now, you might find that to be a bit of a jarring statement, but you know he is often seen as a huge failure in this field, and it was often seen as a large aspect of why he lost the election so much, because he just really fucked COVID really hard. But he trumpeted his excellent handling of the situation because he just had a mix of delusional grandeur and just. No, goodness gracious, no. Not if you listen to him on the Monday speech. So, you know, it's just nice to have him back though. It's given a bit of flair to things. Boring Grandpa Biden doesn't give us anything. But what really stood out, and this is my favorite bit, I've taken a while to get to this point, is that Trump insisted that everyone get their vaccine.
Hang on.
Really fuck people up. So the vaccine, he said, was a great achievement. And Operation Warp Speed was a great success. Which is kind of true. I mean, like, you know, they threw money at the problem and told the FDA not to fuck around. But look, I'll give a little bit of credit where credit's due. But he takes a lot of credit where a little bit it's due. So he can go fuck himself. Basically, the whole thing about everyone should get the jab is that this is the kind of shit that makes QAnon people freak the fuck out. Because, like, getting the shot, like, you kidding? That's what Bill Gates wants. So the former president, who has been a huge figure in the anti-vax movement ever since he started flirting with RFK and saying that kids get autism from fucking MMR shots, has just told everyone to get the death shot, the experimental death shot.
Have your DNA inorganically altered, I should say.
Exactly. And this is the sort of thing, like, you know, that only happens in cool movies. But unfortunately now it's our reality, and you're going to be seeing through walls within the fucking fortnight. But people are losing their minds because they think this is just not their Donald. And sometimes they literally think this isn't their Donald. So as usual, they're making backflips as usual to try and justify this. Basically, he was forced to say it, or... Of course, it wasn't Trump. It was a body double. But at the end of the day...
standing on a couple of phone books.
Exactly, yeah. His hand up his ass. Look, I'm sorry. Trump told you to go and get your shot.
Yeah,
so, sucked in. You just hate to see him so conflicted.
Vaccine. That's why. It's the best, the greatest vaccine you've ever seen.
Best, the greatest. Yes. I love a good vaccine.
Look, in
I don't like a bad one.
News, American news, where everything is sane, completely normal and always has been, Donald Trump was not inaugurated on March 4. So that date came and went without the inauguration of Donald Trump.
There's no president.
Complete shock to me, because I thought it was going to happen. March 4 was supposed to be a day of reckoning, a day where Donald Trump would be inaugurated as the 19th president. That's directly following Ulysses S. Grant. No legitimate presidents in the meantime. So the Trumpster would have been number 19, while blood-drinking pedophile Democrats would be arrested en masse and summarily executed, taken out the back and disposed of. And about time, just quite frankly.
Absolutely. I've been waiting since 2017.
Sadly, it all came to nothing with claims in the media the cult had once again shifted the goalposts. The cult has shifted the goalposts so often, they're not even playing the same game anymore. I think they dropped the ball altogether and now playing fucking roller derby or something fucking weird like that. And where the shifting occurs, it comes from QAnon influences, because Q himself, the anonymous deep state insider, has not posted since December 13. Gee, we're getting on for 3 months now. But the QAnon influencers who, when one date comes and goes without prophecies unfulfilled, simply create another date on some spurious justification. So the predicted events of March 4 that didn't happen are now predicted to occur on March 28. And when that date passes, hopefully without incident, no doubt another one will be cited. The QAnon...
Yeah, I don't even know what March 28 means.
I'd be interested to see the rationale. There'll be some sort of weird numerology. That's my guess. Yeah,
gematria.
Yes, anyway,
Fuck, I love gematria.
That's what I think.
Damn.
The QAnon chat
idiots.
on 4chan and Telegram last week seemed to conclude with the presumption that March 4 would be a false flag event, and so the QAnon stayed away. But it's only a matter of time before one or more of their number decide to take matters into their own hands, and the US experiences another domestic terror attack. It may not be in DC as it was on January 6th. That was a terrorist attack. As Chris Wray, the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, said so. While in other QAnon news, the QAnon shaman, Jacob Chansley, who wore a bear skin and horns as he raced around the Capitol building. Remember him? He was arrested a few weeks ago, of course, and he has piped up to the media this week, still behind bars, by the way, amid allegations that he left a threatening note for Vice President Mike Pence at his desk in the Senate chamber, which read, "It's only a matter of time, justice is coming." Well, firstly, Jacob, it's a full stop after time, and I slap you around the head for that, and a capital J for justice. But... if true, that little message, he is on the money. Justice is coming. Chansley has been charged with offences that could lead to a 28-year jail term. Ooh.
That's so hard.
No.
It's too much.
Because hinting his involvement of knowledge of the assassination of Vice President Big Gay Mike is a little bit different than just running around and making a fool of yourself on Capitol Hill. If convicted, Chansley faces a very long holiday in a federal prison where organic foods and whole wheat cereals are not on the menu. Ooh, that's going to be a problem. Breaking silence yesterday, Chansley says he has regrets now. Regrets? He has a few. No doubt driven by the looming prospect of a long prison sentence, but he said his biggest regret was not receiving a pardon from his hero, still his hero, Donald Trump. Oh,
Donald Trump, which is bullshit. He should have got that pardon. Come on, man. Just like quid pro quo. Be a good guy. It's such bullshit. God, Trump's such a fuckwit. If I was Trump, I would definitely give him a pardon. Well, anyway, in another beg your pardons. I hate to say that cancel culture's back in the news.
This week.
The latest. Well, Antifa was directly behind this one. So the latest ruthless scalp from the book-burning left, like that's apparently a thing, is the beloved Dr. Seuss. Now, you've probably heard about this, mostly because right-wing agitators, amplifiers, and general fuckwits are screaming about it. Craig Kelly and Pete Evans, because they're basically the same person,
not the same
in the same room, are fucking loving it. They are just loving it. But the thing is, nobody on the left gives a shit. It's just, no one cares. No one actually really cares outside of the media, which you're a part of. So the general gist is that a few of the good doctor's lesser-known books, racist imagery was used, and it's that old-timey shit that just like when blackface was kind of cool. It's usual like slanty-eyed Chinese dude with chopsticks, weird Arab caricature on a camel, primitive minstrel style depiction of black Africans. Like, it's not great. So it's pretty simple stuff. We don't really represent people in these sort of reductive ways anymore, and we used to. We don't anymore, and that's progress. That's where progressive comes from. It's like, it's like when you grow out of a phase, like you wear like.
Well, they don't have the black and white. They don't have the black and white minstrel show on television anymore. I was old enough to remember when they did. It was a BBC TV production.
That is fucked up. And we should bring it back. Why? Because the left.
Terrible. Fucking rubbish.
Fucking morons. So the whole thing comes basically from the estate deciding to pull the titles from sale. And beloved titles such as If
Never
I
heard of it.
Ran the Zoo and
Never heard of
On
it.
Beyond Zebra, which doesn't seem making
Never
sense.
heard of it.
The Cat's Quizzer, which I must say, I kind of like. What is the cat quizzing? Like, I want to check this
You
out.
can't.
I can't
It's been
now because
cancelled.
the left have cancelled it. You see, no one's heard of these books, and they are to be ceased publishing from here onwards. But this is because Dr. Seuss Enterprises, which sounds kind of Orwellian, but
Yes.
essentially the Seuss family estate,
Yes.
wanted to. This was their fucking decision. They didn't make this under some like pointless lefty backlash or protests at a fucking university. It's not because candle cult's out of control. It's not Antifa. It's because the family that owns the rights to the books saw an issue.
Yes, well, they
And
actually
did-
went and
and wanted to
sought
change
some
it.
advice. So they sought some advice from academia, and academia got back to them with their interpretations, and they weighed it up, and they said, okay, let's get rid of these titles. That's what happened.
Yeah, and that's fine. So in response to this, the absolute galaxy brains that watch Fox News and Sky News After Dark rush to Amazon.com to buy, of course, The Cat in the Hat, Oh, the Places
Great
You'll
books.
Go,
Love
and
'em.
Green Eggs and Ham. These are the
Hop
books
on
they've
top.
heard of. These basic motherfuckers didn't even bother buying the right books, and these
It's
aren't
like
being
hop
pulled
on
from
top.
shelves.
Will not cease to exist. That's what they're going for. They're going for that sort of maximum outrage. Fox News ran 4 consecutive days on this story. 4 days.
Jesus
Just big extended
Christ.
pieces.
And that's probably because it
All
tracks
their-
really well.
All their panel shows were asked to address it, you know.
Tucker
Tucker
Carlson
Carlson,
would have been
he
on
would
it.
have been tears.
Fucking wanker.
Tears of rage.
Oh, yeah,
He's a very
absolutely.
angry
Just
man. Angry.
Reminiscing his favorite Dr. Seuss books, not knowing how to like maybe quote any of them or anything like that, just as
Yes.
as a concept. So the thing is bullshit here is like usually the right side of politics are all about freedom to make decisions, but it's only when it fits their political narrative. And this is that whole thing of like, let the market decide, but oh no, not like that. No. I need to be like that. And my friend Oliver May said that on Facebook. I really like that point. And that's the thing. Like, this freedom thing only works within their fucking paradigm. This is a funny one, though. They don't give a shit about Dr. Seuss. This fits them like a fucking glove because it gave them another non-existent problem to whinge about.
Another
They don't
battlefront
actually
in the
lose
culture
anything. All they
wars.
do is gain political points. Exactly. It's a battlefront of the culture wars. It's exactly it. It's like the fucking only person that ever talks about, like, complex gender issues are young liberals. Who, like, they're going, oh, I identify as an Apache helicopter. Like, yeah, good on you, mate. Like, no one fucking cares. Like, just use pronouns, and if someone's weird about it, just try and be nice. Like, it's not a big fucking deal. But, of course, they froth about it and make this really weird big deal that apparently is all we ever talk about. So, the left don't give a fuck about this. Cancel culture's not out of control. This is nothing to do with Antifa. But I do say, as a side note, Dr. Seuss did some pretty badass, political cartoons. And they are edgy as fuck. I think they're worth a look. Have a look at Dr. Seuss political cartoons. Chuck it into DuckDuckGo or Yandex. And have a look.
Look,
They're edgy.
my
swastikas
view
and
is
shit.
that Dr. Seuss was actually a genius, a really true genius. He was an advertising genius, but he also taught probably, billions of kids, including myself, to read by use of sort of phonics and repetition. And yes, so he was a rather brilliant man. He still sells, his foundation sell millions and millions of books. Yes,
$30 million a year,
every year,
$30 million a year.
Help kids to
go to Vinnie's, buy an old copy. You fucking idiots! What's wrong with you?
Teaching billions of children to read, and when we're talking about children, it's time to get into a deeper dive because we are looking at children, male children who live.
My favourite kind.
True to mean.
Fountains of youth.
It's a deeper dive into male children.
Treat them mean, keep them keen. Fuck me, that's good.